G'day traders, we're going to wrap up of Wednesday the 21st of March. So market today showed some real great signs actually. We saw some sellers and we saw the day finish off with some sellers as well, which we haven't seen a lot of. And straight away, just taking to the 1 minute chart to start off with, you can see we got this, because we got these sellers in the market all of a sudden, start to attract a lot more traders, and all of a sudden we're getting this tussle between the buyers and the sellers again, and as a result we're getting a little bit of multiple directional movements, but plenty of power points being hit. You can see 6 power points hit in the morning, whereas lately we've just been getting this grind up and only a couple of upper power points being hit. So straight away sellers coming into the market, and instantly it brings a bit of relief and a bit more action. So over here on the 5 minute chart, you can see we pushed down straight away. From here we pulled back. So this area here, great area to look at. Pullbacks, the power point actually held really well. The true fade held really well. Had everything going for it. All the other markets were pushing lower as well. Just the only downturn in this particular area is the fact that it's basically the first sell-off in a very buyers-dominated market. So sometimes you can be a little bit hesitant here, just because you don't be too quick to jump on sellers, because in the past the buyers have stamped them out. But apart from that, this kind of pullback here had everything going for it. If you look at the other markets, really did look like it had the pressure and it wanted to push lower. From there it did. Started breaking at its lows, and again all the pressure was heading down here, and it looked like it really wanted to head down lower. But I guess the sellers are just starting to come into this market, and in the end they hesitated and couldn't keep on pushing the market down. But look for areas like this, in the coming weeks to push lower. That's for sure. From there we started getting new trends. So at this pullback here, what you got to do is look at here. So we got a push down, a pullback, push down. As we're pulling back here, you got to decide, is this market going to go back for its lows, or is it basically starting a new trend? Around this area here, where it could have went either way, the Russell was starting to break to the upside. And you also notice the Russell didn't break lower as well. So there's evidence, a lot of evidence around to say that this kind of trend was over and we were heading up. From there, that's exactly what happened. We pushed up high, looked like I want to go back and have a go at these highs. From there we pulled back. So again, this sort of pullback area here is a good area to look at. Again, the buyers look like they're in control. As the predictives pulling back, look for these pullbacks to hold about 3 points from the high, which is what it did. It did push back a little bit further than that, but still the buyers never lost control at this particular stage. All the other markets were holding these pullback areas, and they weren't breaking down through resistance. From there we started to get some pressure back to the upside. 5 minute buy, fantastic to see. Just your typical first pullback 5 minute buy. Haven't seen one of these for a long time, just because we haven't had the range to get them. They've been coming, but coming way too close to the highs. So this one came as a result of the wider range today, and it was great. It worked. It pushed up. It did have a bit of a pullback, but all through these stages, all the other markets are holding it. So even though it came close to pulling back and being stopped out, it had enough momentum to then push back up and work on the upside. And looked like it was, it might again wanted to break up through these highs, but in the end, the sellers, and so I mean by in the afternoon, the sellers look like they are starting to get back some control, because again they held off these buyers and they pushed down. Interesting fact about this here, this predictives crossed the downside here, so there's no real setup as far as the ES is concerned. But at the time there was a lot of pressure forming on the downside. If you look at the Russell actually had a little bit of a directional setup here. They didn't push higher, they formed a little shoulder, and then they broke it down again. So the Russell actually did have some sell opportunities right at the end here, even though on the ES it sold off. The setup didn't come really, because it sold off. It didn't have any shoulder or any sort of pullback to get on that sell at the end there. But great to see those sellers nonetheless. 1 minute chart, so here it is here. We pushed down through 2 power points. Here's this pullback where the predictive was crossing to the upside and looking like it wanted to hold as a pullback and then push lower, which is exactly what it did. From there we pushed down through this power fade just would have worked. Came down to this one here. At the time the markets were really flying down, looked like they were going to break down through this one as well. But from there they held, they pushed up through here, and this is where we started to get an area in the market where we thought it's either going to go down or up again. This was a bit of a testing point in the market, but it was the Russell and the other markets that started to lead up and looked like it was really going to hold and push higher, which is what it did from there. Approaching through lunchtime now, then we got this bit of a pullback which eventually held to the upside, and then we pushed higher, where we got that 5-minute buy, and then in the afternoon we got this sell-off here. So again, check out the Russell at this sell-off here. You'll notice there's a bit of a shoulder forming, and as far as the Russell is concerned, there was a great opportunity to get on this particular opportunity. Not that I would sell on the Russell, but I wasn't aware of it at the time. But if I had been watching the Russell a bit closer, you could have seen the opportunity on the Russell. So therefore, translate that over to this market and possibly take a sell. It's something to contemplate anyway. A bit of food for thought. So guys, that's a wrap up for Wednesday. Great to see some action, and we definitely look forward to see what happens tomorrow, Thursday.